Good day, people. Praying all is well. Just want to touch on the accident that happened in D.C. with that plane and the helicopter, the military helicopter. My prayers go out to the families of those that were lost. So sad. Um, as many have heard, Trump came out and put it on the feet of D.E.I. Now, they say, which I'm not sure, but they're saying that the person flying the helicopter had about 500 of hours experience. I'm not a pilot. I've heard of the standards. What I was, don't add anything to that. What I did do for a living was I drove trucks and I trained people. And now there's differences, but I want to get there. I would never allow a student to drive throughout the night. Never happened. Not on my truck. It never did. They would drive at night, but and that was after probably being on my truck for about 2 weeks. And when I say my truck, I meant my truck because I was the one that that I was in charge of that truck. So, and what I would do is I never assumed that they came out of school and they were good to go. Never did that. I actually was the type that, especially since I knew where they were coming out of, the same place I came out of, I was like, oh, this person doesn't know nothing. Because when I got on that truck, when I got on the truck, the first time I knew nothing. Just out of school, and the truth is, they didn't teach me much. So, yeah, I was like, hold on. And what I would do is this. This comes with experience, but I actually figured this out before I went on my own. When I got a student on my truck, what I would do is try to be in an area that when that person first got behind the wheel, it would be safer. Prime example. On I-10, going west from El Paso, right? New Mexico, Arizona, that long stretch, almost all that through I-10, is like, yo, here's the keys, go at it. I mean, I'm going to be there, obviously. No lie. 9 out of 10 people right now that never drove a truck, just a car, right? Never drove a truck in their life. Now, never mind you, when I came into the industry was making that major shift to from stick to the automatics. Now I'm sure probably 90% of the industry is like that. So there is no shifting gears. I would literally tell you, hey, just think about it like a car, except there's a trailer back there and you have to keep your eye on the back of that trailer and keep it in between those white lines. And 9 out of 10 of you guys will be able to get on that stretch of highway and get us there to wherever there may be, but it's that simple. And that was a good place for them to be like, okay, I could do this and, get more comfortable as we talk. Because for the first week, I had to sit, which I wouldn't have it any other way. Sit on the passenger seat while that person drives. Sometimes I will do it depending on the person. I'll sit by them for 9, 10 days. Now there was a point where we had to go teams, which meant that I had to go get sleep. So now he was driving, then I was driving. You see, in the beginning, it's not like that. In the beginning, I might drive for 4 hours, then I let him drive for 4 hours. I might drive 2 hours, he might drive for 6 hours, like that. And then it builds up from there, and to the point where they could do their own shift. It's like that. Now, you might be asking, why is it always he and men? I never had a female on my truck. Don't get me wrong, my wife went with me one time on a real short trip. Never had a female on my truck. I never went. When you go after a while and you decide I'm gonna train people, they give you a sheet and there's options. Are you willing to train males, females, or both? I put on my male. Why? Because I've heard the stories. Accusations being made, because the male driver was like, this person ain't got it. I'm not going to pass them. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because I said don't do it to the company, it was their decision. And trust you me, the reason why I quit that company was because I had an elderly man on my truck. Anyway, I'm not going to go somewhere else now. Anyway, so uh, with the training and all that. So the female thing, I heard the stories and I was like, no. And besides that, being that I have a wife, one of the things I learned early on, my marriage before the marriage, I heard, uh, what's his name? Billy Graham say this. When he started with TV and the traveling, him and some of his men made a pact. And that pact was that while on the road or wherever, they would never be alone with a female in the room. Okay? So if Billy Graham was having a conversation with a lady, kind of a private conversation, there will always be people there in the room. Not right next to them where they could hear the conversation, but a visual. And you know what? When I heard that man say that, that's how I try to live my life. Where I always try to make sure I'm never in a position that I'm alone with a woman. And for the most part, that's been successful. But anywho, so that's why I've never trained a woman. Now, real quick, how about somebody that looks like a woman, right? I got tested with that one time. They asked me the question. I was in a class, right? I have been on the road now maybe 5 years, but every once in a while you have to go take a class. So I went, and the question came out and they went around the room. If you had a student that was a male but showed up as a female, and I came up and I said, I wouldn't do it. They asked, and well, they said, yeah, but on your paperwork, it says that you train men. I said, that is correct. They said, well, this is a biological man. I said, and it is. I said, but that biological man wants me to view him, to view him as a woman. Excuse me. And with that being the case, if it wants me to view him as a woman, and probably for me to, uh, or however that may look like as far as the way that you treat a woman. I mean, if you're just somebody I know, I treat a woman the same way I treat a guy, except that I open a door for a woman. That's about it. But yeah, so I was like, no, that's not gonna happen either. So that never did. Anyway, driving a truck, you don't have to look up or down when you're going down the road, except of course if you're going underneath a bridge or some trees and you look down, maybe some potholes, but you're not gonna hit a car because you're looking up or down, right? I mean, it's not like if you're doing that because there might be a car there, as opposed to a plane and a helicopter like what we just saw. Okay, but I do know this. I think that again, I'm not no pilot. I do believe that 500 hours is a little bit too short for the pilot, a pilot, male or female, okay, to be flying over a major city that has an airport in it. That doesn't sound like a good idea. We're gonna find out more. Now, if what I heard is true, then there's issues there. I heard things like there's a memo. I haven't seen it, I haven't seen like a copy of it or anything like that. That is directing, uh, are they called the FAA? Anyway, them folks with pilots and all that. That the people that sit in the tower, that if they have some issues that would have deemed them not acceptable, that now they are. Like being like the colorblind, short, and some other things there that I was like, I think those things might be a little bit important. And let me say this, as far as DEI, okay? When you're dealing with pilots, people in that tower, yo, I don't care. I do not care whether you're gay, you're straight, you're black, you're Puerto Rican, you're Chinese, you're from Somalia. I could care less. Get me the person that's best for the job. Simple. And whenever you hear things like DEI being put to the forefront and saying within X amount of time, 40% of this has to be this, then you're forcing that. And in forcing it, you make mistakes. You make mistakes. Now, we don't know exactly what's going on with that. There's a lot to go through. Again, I'm the type because you hear a whole lot of stories, so you have to figure all that out and give it time to settle, you know. But it doesn't, I guess right now it just doesn't look very good for the whole DEI thing. And let me say this about DEI. Me, myself, I'm one. That if I go take a test, okay, and you tell me, or I find out that the standards of that test were dropped because I'm Puerto Rican or anything, I would be like, you know what? Either you bring up that test to the standards that everybody else took, or if not, I'm not taking that test. I'm not taking that test. Why? Because if I fail and I really want to do that, then I'll go back and I'll study some more. That's why. I don't want to go into a place and me knowing, me knowing I'm here, but everybody knows that they lowered the standard so I could make it through that door. How much trust do you think they're going to have as to what I could be able to do when I came in the door already behind the eight ball, I guess, or whatever that may be? And no, I don't want to come in through the back door. I want to come in through the same way everybody else did. I don't know why people would be like, oh, I can't. And then folks act like D.E.I's been around for ages. Oh my God, how we gonna live without D.E.I? That thing just started a few years ago. It ain't been around that long. Anyway, going off on the tangent. God bless, folks. Be safe out there.